Imagine waking up tomorrow to find that every dollar you've saved is worth less than it was yesterday, not because of a market crash or a bank failure, but because of something much more silent and insidious: inflation. This isn't a distant threat or a problem for economists to debate on TV. It's happening right now, and it's quietly eroding your hard-earned savings every single day. If you think you're safe because you've been diligent, cutting back on lattes, skipping vacations and stashing money in your savings account, think again. Inflation is the invisible hand reaching into your wallet, taking a little more each month, and most people don't even realize it until it's too late. Picture this. 10 years ago, you could walk into a grocery store with $100 and leave with a cart overflowing with food. Today, that same cart might be half empty. The numbers on your bank statement might look the same or even a little higher, but what those numbers can actually buy is shrinking, sometimes faster than you'd ever expect. And here's the kicker. Even if you're getting a small amount of interest from your savings account, it's almost never enough to keep up with the rising cost of living. In fact, the average savings account in the US pays less than 1% interest, while inflation in 2024 is hovering around 3.5%. That means every year, your money is losing real value, quietly slipping away while you sleep. But let's make this personal. Imagine Sarah, a single mum who's worked 2 jobs for years, finally managing to put away $10,000 for her child's future. She feels secure, until she realizes that in just 5 years, that $10,000 will only have the purchasing power of about $8,500 if inflation keeps up at its current pace. That's $1,500 gone, not because she spent it, but because the world around her got more expensive. Or consider James, a retiree living on a fixed income. He spent decades saving, believing he'd be comfortable in his golden years. But now, every trip to the pharmacy or supermarket is a reminder that his nest egg isn't stretching as far as it used to. He's not alone. Millions of retirees are discovering that their careful planning is being undone by forces they can't control. And it's not just groceries or gas. Rent, utilities, healthcare, education, almost every essential expense is rising faster than most people's wages or savings. If you're wondering where this ends, here's a chilling thought. If inflation spikes unexpectedly, as it did in the 1970s or even during the post-pandemic surge, your savings could lose value at a pace that feels almost impossible to keep up with. Now, you might be thinking, I get it, inflation is bad, but what can I actually do? That's the million-dollar question, and in a few minutes, I'll reveal a practical strategy that most people overlook, one that could help you not just survive inflation, but actually use it to your advantage. But first, let's disrupt the pattern for a moment. Have you ever wondered why, despite working harder and earning more, it sometimes feels like you're running in place? It's not just you. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, real wages, meaning wages adjusted for inflation, have barely budged for most workers over the past 2 decades. So even as your paycheck goes up, your buying power often stays flat or even declines. It's like being on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, and no matter how fast you run, you never get ahead. Here's a scenario. Imagine you've been saving for your child's college fund. You've put away $50 a month for 18 years, expecting to cover tuition. But by the time your child is ready for university, tuition has doubled, and your savings only cover a fraction of what you'd hoped. This isn't a rare story. It's the reality for millions of families. And it's not just about education. Think about healthcare. In the past decade, medical costs have risen more than twice as fast as general inflation. Even if you have insurance, out-of-pocket expenses can eat away at your savings faster than you can replenish them. So what's really happening here? The hidden cost of inflation is that it punishes savers and rewards borrowers. If you owe money on a fixed-rate loan, inflation actually makes it easier to pay off over time, because you're paying back with dollars that are worth less. But if you're saving, every year you're fighting an uphill battle just to maintain your purchasing power. Now here's the twist. Most banks and financial institutions know this, but they rarely talk about it. Why? Because they profit when you keep your money parked in low-interest accounts. They lend out your savings at much higher rates, pocketing the difference, while you bear the brunt of rising prices. This isn't just a theory, it's a business model. And here's the reveal I promised. The best way to protect your savings from inflation isn't just to save more, it's to make your money work harder. That means investing in assets that historically outpace inflation, like stocks, real estate, or inflation-protected securities. For example, over the past 50 years, the S&P 500 has delivered average annual returns of about 10%, far outstripping the average inflation rate. Even during periods of high inflation, diversified investments have often preserved or grown purchasing power, while cash savings have steadily lost ground. But before you rush out and invest, ask yourself, are you prepared for the risks? Investing isn't a magic bullet, and the markets can be volatile. That's why financial literacy is more important than ever. Take the time to learn about your options, diversify your portfolio, and consider speaking with a certified financial planner. And don't forget about emergency savings. Having a cash cushion for unexpected expenses is still crucial, even if it loses a bit of value to inflation each year. Let's pause for a second. Have you ever looked at your savings and wondered, is this really enough? If you have, you're not alone. In fact, more than 60% of Americans say they're worried about outliving their savings, and nearly half have less than $1,000 set aside for emergencies. The truth is, the system isn't designed to make saving easy, but with the right information and a proactive mindset, you can beat the odds. Here's another pattern disruption. What if I told you that some of the world's wealthiest people actually use inflation to their advantage? They borrow at low fixed rates and invest in appreciating assets, letting inflation erode the real value of their debts while their investments grow. It's a strategy that's been used for decades, and while it's not without risks, it shows that inflation doesn't have to be your enemy. So, what should you do right now? Start by reviewing your savings strategy. If all your money is sitting in a traditional savings account, you're losing ground. Look into high-yield savings accounts, certificates of deposit, or money market funds for better rates. Even more importantly, consider shifting a portion of your long-term savings into investments that have a track record of beating inflation. Educate yourself on stocks, index funds, and real estate investment trusts. If you're new to investing, start small and build your confidence over time. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Financial literacy is your best defense against the hidden cost of inflation. Before we wrap up, here's the most important thing to remember. Inflation is relentless, but it's not unbeatable. By understanding how it works, staying informed, and making smart choices, you can protect your savings and even come out ahead. If you found this eye-opening or learned something new, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and drop a comment below sharing your biggest inflation concern or how you're fighting back. Your story could help someone else who's struggling. Remember, knowledge is power, and together we can outsmart inflation and secure our financial future.